Hello, bankers. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome back. So, I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to all of you. So, quickly join in so we can start our today's discussion, right? So, everything is fine from my side, guys. Please quickly confirm so we can start our today's discussion, right? So, yesterday, basically, we have covered the first four units. First three units. So today we are going to start with documentary letter of credit, and there are few areas which I'll give you as a homework. So, technology in international banking and role of these particular one. These are the just guidelines and all. Okay. So this portion, unit 8 and 10, that is part of this particular session itself. I'll share the PDFs so you guys can go through those particular areas. Okay. So the major discussion for today's session is around documentary letter of credit, then facilities for exporters and importers, export and import credits, and the other areas. ECB, again very important area, right? Risk and foreign trade, ECGC policies, very important one, and IFSC, it will take less time, but very important one, right? So we have Rukmani ma'am, Tina ma'am, a very good evening to everyone, guys. Hope you all are doing well with your exam preparation and all. Okay. So tomorrow, especially those who are going for HRM itself, again, as an elective paper, so I'm working on one mock test of 100 questions. So I'll upload that mock test also, and day after tomorrow I'll give you one another mock for BFM, that up to exam level or moderate level mock. Okay. So you guys can practice those particular one in your free time also. All right. So I hope everything is fine. So documentary letter of credit, very important unit. So you can face one case study based on this particular one. There are some case studies given at the end of this particular unit. So we will practice Macmillan case studies also, and I'm preparing some similar case studies also. So that will be part of study. Okay. And here we have LC, type of LC, the operational operations of LC. UCP 600 guidelines are very important one. Okay. So again, standby LC, this get asked so many times, and documents under LC, this portion is again very important from this particular unit, right? So yes, which module of BFM is full of theory, sir? So BFM, in case of BFM, na, it is hard to say कि this is completely theoretical. Like mostly the paper is application driven. So I'll suggest like this doing this segregation is bit tough for me also. Okay. Returns are very good evening. Chalo. So what I'll recommend कि the content I'm providing na, at least go for this particular one. See, there are so many candidates, those who recently starting this particular thing after having experience with ABM things. So now what we will try within by the Saturday itself, few things. If anything will remain, I'll record that particular one, I'll upload. But our deadline is Saturday itself. Before Saturday, we have to include or we have to conclude all the four modules आपका summary wise and all, because then Saturday or Sunday we'll be having some marathon, or every day we'll be having marathon for the remaining days आपका, ठीक है? So Avinash sir, I'll recommend कि first concept is kind of a must thing. There are some topics आपका देखो हर एक module के अंदर ना there are some topics, उन topic को ध्यान में रखते हो. I have done one session today itself, so you can refer that particular video for the subtopic wise or for the topic and under that particular one the important areas and all. ठीक है? चलो. So when it comes to the letter of credit, which generally makes sure if seller fulfill the all the term and conditions of that sale agreements, they'll receive the payments and full payments, right? So we have different parties involved in this particular one. It is initiated by the applicant, who is a buyer in this particular case, and we have buyer's bank, which is generally known as opening bank. Okay? So LC transactions, these are the parties involved in this particular one. Buyers or importer, which is also known as applicant, on whose behalf LC is opened by the opening bank itself. And it for our bank, it is a kind of a fee-based services, and it is categorized under the contingent liability. Seller, who is generally known as beneficiary. Opening bank, buyer's bank, who establish or issue the LC. The advising bank आपका, which is sellers or exporters countries bank, who act as a agent of issuing bank and authenticate and advise the LC itself. Confirming bank can be the advising bank, or sometimes it can be differ also, who undertake to pay on behalf of the issuing bank. Most of the time these two banks are same, but they can be like दोनों ही आपके अलग अलग भी हो सकते हैं, ठीक है. So when it comes to the LC, it is basically it generally guarantees to the sellers, if they fulfill the conditions, so they'll get their timely and the full payments for the shipment or whatever the sale it is, right? So when it comes to the entire process, so we have these many steps which are generally part of this particular one. So it start like, let's say, Indian importer, they entered into a order they with the sellers from some other country, let's say it is US. Then order confirmation is there, then application for LC by the importer with the importers bank in India, let's assume any XYZ bank, yeah. Then after this we have LC transmission, which is Swift MT700, yeah. Then after that we have LC advising, and the sixth one is a good export formalities, goods are shipped, then आपका presentation of documents for scrutiny, and the eighth one is copies of documents they'll receive. Again, ninth one is, these are the basically submission of documents for after scrutiny. Again, then eighth one is ninth one is deliver of documents in compliance of LC. Tenth one is payment made at site or due date. Site bill are basically which are payable at the time of presentation of documentations. And we have Usain's bill, they have a specific date, like after 3 months or after 2 months or 60 days or 30 days and all. Then 11th one is credit advice, and the final goods taken for the delivery and copies of documents along with the BOE details are get submitted. So this is the kind of entire workings of this particular one, correct? So LC that generally work in this particular format, and these are the steps which are generally part of the LC itself. Now this UCP 600 is very important. So ICC which generally release these common rules आपका basically, these are the common procedures while we enter into international trade. So international trade mein every country they have different rules and regulations regarding the payment things and all. So to harmonize them or to create some sort of uniformity, so we have a ICC, that is International Chamber of Commerce, and they come up with some set of rules in 2017 in the name of UCP 600. Prior to this, we have overall आपका 6 UCPs. ठीक है. Prior to this, we used to have UCP 500. Then prior to that, UCP 400, UCP 300, 1933 or 34, when ICC first time introduced these particular guidelines, right? So many banks and lenders are subject to this regulation, which aim to standardize international trade, reduce the risk of trading goods and services, and govern trade. First UCP was created in 1933, and the latest one is July 2007. That is your UCP 600. Now these are kind of accounting standards. जैसे होते हैं ना accounting standards, every company is using same rule. So this is something like this. While we create that LC or while we generate the invoice आपका, these are not the legal form, but that invoice or that LC provide the legality to these particular things. कि the trade will be happen as per the term and conditions of UCP 600. So that means while we'll do these kind of transactions and all, so they'll automatically become part of that particular trade itself, right? So 1st July 2007 onwards, earlier this we have 1933, then आपका 1951, 62, 84, 94, 2007, where we come up with the UCP 600. Now these are the areas which I'll mention homework here. So I'll recommend to all of you guys, please go through these particular one once again. सो एक बार इनको आपका थोड़ा सा देख लेना. यूसीपी 82 आपका, ठीक है, द वेरी फर्स्ट वन, ठीक है. सो देन वी हैव 80 यूसीपी 1933. देन वी हैव आपका यूसीपी 151 1951, आपका 1951, 1962, 19 and 90. बहुत like very rarely you will get question around these particular one, but still I'll recommend कि एक बार what were the major changes around these particular one, you can have a study, ठीक है. एक look आपको just you have to go through these particular one. But UCP 600 are very very important one, ठीक है. So these are the current guidelines, so they are very very important one. So when it comes to the ICC Paris appointed a task force after approval of the banking commission in 2003, undertake the revision of UCP 500. The task force, after working for over 3 years, prepared a draft, that is new UCP. Okay. So basically, in this particular one, the consultation group comprising 41 members from 26 countries was formed to discuss the draft. The draft was also referred to the National Committee, including ICC India, and key issues were identified, taking into the accounts the various opinions from the different one, and documentary credit dispute resolution expertise, decisions, paper, court decisions and others, they were generally part of this one. The major changes which we generally come up with the UCP 600, so this is the list आपका, ठीक है. This is very very important one, हाँ. So ये सबके लिए बहुत important है. So new article covering definition and interpretation was get introduced. Removal of reference to revocable credit. So we remove this revocable credit in this particular one. New sub article covering documents lost in transit got introduced in this particular one. We have 38 or 39 articles which are generally part of this particular one. 39 articles in case of your UCP 600. Okay? We'll go through the 39 articles, their summary also. Setting up maximum exemption period as 5 banking days following the day of presentation. The stipulation that documents are to be appear to fulfill their functions where the credit is silent with regard to the data content and possibilities for handling discrepant documents. So these are the new things which we generally introduce with the help of this UCP 600. Okay? So article of UCP 600 grouped as, so now you do not have the detailed things around these particular one. So we have 39 articles, yes, हाँ. So we have 39 articles which are generally part of UCP 600. तो अब इनका ना detail is not part of your curriculum, ठीक है. They have just given the grouping of these particular ones, so that make this particular thing more important. तो थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखिएगा आपका, ठीक है. So when it comes to the article 1 to 5, it include definition of LC, interpretations, interdependence of LC, underlying contract. These are generally defined under 1 to 5. 6 to 10 आपका availability, expiry date and place, obligation of issuing and confirming bank, advising credit and amendments. Then आपका article 11 to 17, pre-advised credit, nominated banks, reimbursement arrangement, compiling presentations, original documents. Article 18, commercial invoices. Article 19 to 27, transport documents. 28, insurance documents. Article 29 to 33, extension tolerance, partial and installment drawing and hours of presentation. 34 to 37, disclaimers. 38 and 39, transferability and assignment of proceeds. So these are the major basically these are the 39 articles, and this is the grouping of all these 39 articles as per the UCP 600. Okay? So please go through this particular one and do revise this one, again very important one. So these are the areas, like the entire things, like let's say if you are entering into a LC contract, so we generally give references to UCP 600. So that means everything will be in accordance to these 39 articles and all. Okay? So that is generally part of this entire LC journey and all. Okay? So buyer to seller or आपका seller to buyers, everything that generally get covered under this one. Now, liability, responsibility and right of parties. This get asked in the previous examination also. So around the applicant or the issuing bank or the beneficiary banks or the sellers. So everything's with generally defined under this particular portion. So applicants आपका ठीक है, applicant is responsible for maximum things in this particular LC contract. So the applicant of LC must give complete and precise instruction for issuance of letter of credit and any amendment thereof. The LC must not include excessive detail or give any preferences of the credit previously issued to avoid any confusion or misunderstanding as per Article 5 आपका ठीक है. The applicant should indemnify banks against any obligation imposed by foreign laws. So that means आपका, let's say if there are some changes in foreign laws, or that due to those particular changes, if opening bank is going to face some sort of losses, that losses are generally borne by the applicant itself. And this was the question in your previous examination itself. तो थोड़ा सा उसको ध्यान रखना आपको. Issuing bank is the party acting on behalf of the applicant and should therefore ensure itself about the credit worthiness of the applicants. This is about the issuing bank, sorry. Issuing banks. Then the issuing bank give definite undertakings to make payment in case of sight and accept and pay on maturity in case of acceptance or deferred payments, to authorize bank to negotiate and to reimburse the negotiating banks, provide that the stipulated documents are presented under letter of credit article 2 and 9 आपका. ठीक है. So basically issuing bank आपका, their responsibilities toward the payments, they are providing some sort of standby guarantee to that particular shipments and all, or that particular sale contract. Okay. And they have to first check the credit worthiness of the applicants. Otherwise, like if everything is okay, so they'll be responsible for any kind of default made by the borrower itself. Okay. So that is the one. And at the time of the shipments, if the bill is demand bill, so they have to make payment at the time of shipments. If it is Hussein's bills, they have to make the payments in the future itself, right? Pankaj sir, very very good evening. So advising bank, so आपका applicant, the maximum responsibility belongs to applicant. Basically this point आपका, if there is some changes in the foreign laws, or if something that is not disclosed by that particular applicants, so if opening bank is going to make any losses, that will be borne by the applicant itself. Another thing is applicants, आपका issuing bank or the opening bank who will responsible for the payments, if they entered in that particular one, they are providing some sort of financial guarantee to the advising bank, and they have to check the credit worthiness of the borrowers or the buyers before issuing that particular LC on behalf of the buyer itself. Okay. Advising bank has option to choose as whether it wish to advise LC or not, okay, but they have to inform it immediately. Okay. So if agree to advise the LC, then it must do so by taking reasonable care of checking the authenticity of the credit. In case it decide not to advise the LC, then must inform to issuing bank immediately if the advising bank is unable to establish the authenticity of the LC itself. They do have that option. They can advise or they can ignore that particular one, right? So the another part is, which is again very important one, that is related to documents under the LC, especially that bill of ladings and others. They generally comes under this one, scrutiny, crystallization and all. So these are the areas which you have to go through before practicing MCQs or the case studies, right? So bill of exchange, basically this is added if our LC, like if the LC type is Hussein, so we generally issue a bill of exchange, or in other case also. Okay. So this is the medium of payments आपका, which we are using. Bill of exchange, which is generally drawn by the your creditors on the debtors. ठीक है. तो जैसे bill of exchange के जो सारे features होते हैं वही. So if it is Hussein's bill आपका, so there will be a future date mentioned on that particular one. If it is a demand bill, so they'll issue a demand of like we are not making payment in cash basically as a bank also. So they'll issue one one bill of exchange, and we have to make payments accordingly. We means आपका opening bank. So bill of exchange being used of the most important financial documents drawn by the beneficiary on LC issuing bank. It envisages the issuing bank to make the payments immediately if it is drawn on site or accept, and pay on due date if it is usance. That is generally part of this one. So following requirements: one is it should be drawn by the beneficiary on the issuing bank and payable at tenure mentioned in the letter of credit. It should indicate the issuing bank name and letter of credit number under which it is drawn. It should, unless and otherwise specified, the drawn in currency of letter of credit should not exceed the amount of letter of credit. Let's say the letter of credit amount is 1 million US dollar. So it should be that invoice amount is 1 million US dollar. So it should be mentioned in dollar, and the other part is the amount should not exceed beyond the 1 million dollar. It should be exact that amount. Any correction should be duly authenticated. So these are some basic requirements while we sign the bill of exchange for the payment purpose, right? Invoice, this is basically the sale and purchase agreements between buyer and seller, and the value of invoice, that generally based on that particular one we make the LC. Your LC amount cannot exceed to the invoice value and all, and based on that particular one, weight, everything, that is generally part of this one. Okay? So while preparing the invoice, these are the following key aspects. It should be made out by the seller or beneficiary as stipulated on in the letter of credit. It should, unless and otherwise specified in the letter of credit, be made out in name of applicants or opener of the LC. A description of goods must be corresponded with the description of goods given in LC. The same things should be part of that one. Invoice must indicate the order number or contract number or performa invoice number and number of LC along with the issuing bank names. The invoice value should not inversely exceed the LC value. If invoice is issued for an amount in excess of the amount permitted by credit, so as per the article 18B of UCP the drawing should not exceed the amount mentioned in the LC. Let's say the invoice value, the LC value is 1 lakh, or let's say the LC value is 10 lakh in rupees, and the invoice value is 12 lakh. So the maximum amount payable by the opening bank will be 10 lakh rupees. We cannot exceed the amount whichever is mentioned in the your LC document. So LC is a primary tool or primary instruments which we are making as a benchmark for this particular case as well, right? If you are having any doubt, please do let me know. This bill of lading is again very important. This get asked so many times. So bill of lading is a transport documents evidencing a movement of goods from the port of the acceptance to port of the destination. Let's say from US to India or any other country. It can be by flight or by through the shipment also. So it is a receipt issued by the ship owner or the authorized agent stating that goods indicated therein, like quantity, quality descriptions, are shipped on specific date and through specific vessels and deliverables to the person mentioned therein as the co-assignee or his order. After payment of all dues to the shipping company as well. The bill of lading should be a complete set of negotiable copies along with the number of non-negotiable copies as stipulated in LC. It should bear the signature of the ship owner or the authorized agents. The description of goods should be corresponded with the LC itself. Bill of lading should bear the letter of credit numbers along with the name of the issuing bank also. So these are the major areas around the delivery of your, we can say, bill of ladings or the documents or the movements of those particular goods as well. Payment of freight should be clearly indicated in bill of ladings as part as per the requirements of the LC. LC should call shipped on board bill of ladings, and accordingly the bill of lading should bear such clauses. It should be drawn to the order of the shipper, blank endorse or in favor of the issuing bank as stipulated in LC also, again, the remaining amounts or dues. The date of the shipment should be within the date stipulated in the LC itself. Okay, let's say the LC date is like whatever the date mentioned or for that entire trades and all. So that shipment should be within those particular date. Partial shipment or transshipments is if permitted in LC should be clearly indicated in bill of lading also. The gross weight, net weight should be indicated in invoice. Bill of lading should not generally be a date prior to the date of issuing of LC. Okay? This bill of this bill of lading should not drawn prior to the issuance of LC itself. Again, it should be after that particular one only. The bill of lading should not be a clause unless specifically permitted under the LC as well. Okay, so these are some important guidelines आपका, ठीक है. So that is something related to this one. हाँ जी sir, will come to the Incoterms also, ठीक है. So Incoterms, like they also get asked so many times in the past itself. Insurance policy and certificates आपका, the next one. So it must be issued and signed by the insurance company or their agents as per article 34A. It should not issued by the brokers. The date of issuance of insurance must be on or before the date of shipments, or it must be endorsed by the specific notations that the cover is effective from these many during the date of shipment itself. The currency of issuance must be the currency of insurance must be same as the currency of LC. The policy should clearly indicate the work it covering the part which they are going to cover, and claim should be made payables in the country of applicant itself. The all original must accompany with the documents. The description of goods in insurance policy certificate should be in conformity with the LC itself. Okay, that is again आपका link with this LC documents itself, right? So that is generally part of this particular one. Certificate of origin आपका, ठीक है, that is the another one, ठीक है. So certificate of origin, once we are sending or seller, we mean seller here, okay. So basically once the seller is doing that shipments, so they'll issue this of their authorities will issue the certificate of origin from where these goods are coming. All right. So in some cases, like some like danger countries and all, we have some sort of restrictions आपका, ठीक है, जहाँ से ये सब चीजें नहीं हो सकती. So certificate of origin determine the origin of goods. It must be issued and signed by the independent authority such as Chamber of Commerce, informing origin of good, value, invoice, bill of lading. Detail appearing in the certificate of origin must be consistent with other documents. It must be ensured that origin of goods is not from any war fighting country consisting of banned hazardous goods and all. Okay? So that is generally given in this particular area itself. Okay? So crystallization of foreign currency. Issuing bank on receipt of documents drawn under the LC has an obligation to pay immediately if documents are drawn at sight or accept and agree to pay on a due date. If the documents are drawn on acceptance basis, provided the documents are drawn strictly as per the term of LC itself. Crystallization is something around the payments. If it is side bill, so you have to make payments on the receiving of those particular documents. If it is आपका Usain's bill, so you have to make the payments in the near future itself. Standby LC is this get asked so many times again. So what is standby LC? It is something. There are some countries like US, UK, they do not use a term called financial guarantee. So this is a replacement of financial guarantee. LC is basically providing some sort of financial guarantee to the seller. If you will fulfill the commitments which are generally part of that sales agreements, you will receive your payments, or on behalf of buyers, we are giving you financial guarantee that you will receive your full amounts on timely manners, right? So this standby LC is basically LC where we are making that commitments. That commitment will get fulfilled. That is generally your आपका standby guarantee. ठीक है? So international trade has been this. Okay. So we'll come to this direct other point in all. Okay. Like we have these one. Okay. So type of LC is opened by the bank in countries where there is restriction on issuing of the guarantee, financial guarantee basically. Okay. And therefore standby LC provide a suitable substitute for the performance or financial guarantees. The document require are bare minimum like proof of delivery of goods or proof of non-performance or a simple claim as well. So what is standby guarantee? Standby LC. Basically your LC is providing or while we are opening that LC, we are doing some sort of commitments with the seller's bank. Now the other documents which is known as standby LC, which is providing some sort of guarantee that this promise, whatever we have done in that LC things, that will get fulfilled if these things are met, right? So that is not. It is as simple as that. Performance guarantee 100% true. Ajit sir, aapka So it is a kind of like if you fulfill the conditions and all, it is exact financial guarantee, but there are some countries who do not use that term. So for that sake, we have this replacement itself. Use of standby LC, standby LC by authorized dealers. So bank can establish standby LC by the following conditions, like documents promised in respect of non-performance situation, especially as substitution of the guarantee with authorized dealers as permitted under FEMA, such as issuing a guarantee in respect of debt, obligation, or other liabilities incurred. An exporter on account of export into India owed to a person resident in India by a person resident outside India, bona fide trade transactions. So this is similar to your आपका. There is nothing new आपका. ठीक है, जैसे for what purposes we use the LC, and this is the kind of a performance guarantee as mentioned by Sir also. If that things get done, so this we are making some sort of we are doing some sort of commitments ki the promise which we have mentioned in the LC, they'll get performed by the bank itself. Okay? So this is important. This get asked so many times. So please do remember this one. Okay? Safeguards आपका, where such standby are required by the applicants again who are independent power producers or importers of crude oils and all. Okay? Specific categories आपका, ठीक है. So the conditions where we can issue as per the FEMA Act these standby guarantees and all. Right. Next one, Incoterms. Last to last year, I guess there was no question in last session, but last to last year there was number of questions around the Incoterms also. So Incoterms, it is international commercial terms. So whenever we do this international trade or whenever we enter into an international trade, while we form that agreements, so we use some shortcuts. These shortcuts are kind of they are generally known as Incoterms. The current version of Incoterms is 2020, which is given in your book also. So parties to contract are often not aware of different terms, trade practices in the respective countries, which can cause misunderstanding, resulting in unnecessary dispute. As such, ICC published a set of international rule for interpretation of trade terms, which is known as Incoterms. The ICC publications on Incoterms has been updated on several times till 2020, and the full form of Incoterms is international commercial terms. Now, how these particular work? This is the things now which I'll recommend ki abhi you just have to go through these particular one, but during like just day before of examination, this is the point which you have to revise or recall. And try it. Even I'll recommend this is the things कि जो आपको ना एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में एंटर करने से पहले एक बार जस्ट आप इनको क्विकली गो थ्रू कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, बिकॉज वी कैन नॉट मेमोराइज ऑल द इनकोटर्म्स, वी हैव अ ह्यूज लिस्ट. ठीक है, so they and even we have different categories also. I'll show you this. So this is something related to these are obligations where we have, these are the sellers obligations like warehouse services and all. In some cases we have aapka buyers obligation. So buyers and sellers obligations is generally defined under this particular one. ठीक है, जैसे departure आपका ex workers, ठीक है, ex works, name place आपका like Jamnagar और Pune and others. मेन कैरेज पीरियड आपका CFR, CFR आपका कॉस्ट एंड फ्रेट. नेम पोर्ट आपका CFR जैसे JNPT और CFR चेन्नई, दीज आर द नेम ऑफ द पोर्ट. Then CIF, ठीक है, cost, insurance and freight, and आपका CIF, JNPT or the others one, ठीक है, CPT, that is the carries paid to, so it is आपका CPT Dubai or others. CIP, carries and insurance paid to. Then we have main carries, unpaid. CFA, free carrier. Then we have FAS, free alongside ship. FOB, free on board आपका, ठीक है. Arrival, at the time of arrival. So we have DAT, delivered at terminal. We have DPU, delivered at places unloaded. And we have DDP, delivered, duty paid and all. Okay? So see, what are the Incoterms? These are applied on the contract of sale, but not on contract of carriage. They deal only with the relationship between buyers and sellers. And these are kind of a terminologies. They are generally dividing the responsibility, which responsibility belongs to buyers or which belongs to the seller itself. But you cannot remember all these particular one in one go. What I'll recommend ki, jab aap log, whenever you'll enter in your examination or a day before of your examination, like here you can see. So Incoterms, organization and charges for buyers and sellers, the various responsibilities of suppliers and buyers shown in this particular figure. You can see as you move from left to right, the obligations of sellers increase where the buyers decrease. The first leftmost Incoterms impose maximum responsibilities on buyers, and the last which generally impose responsibilities on sellers. So like we have EXW. So these are the areas EXW. So the first one, then we have CFR, CIF, CPT. So if it comes to these particular one, EXW, FAS, FCA, FOB, or आपका CFR, CIF, these are the Incoterms which we generally use in this trade, and this generally shows the responsibility. ठीक है? So mostly आपका when it comes to the left side आपका, ठीक है, so in this particular case left side, the maximum responsibilities are generally belongs to the your buyers. ठीक है? So like we have in this case buyers, and these all are generally buyers, and then these move toward the sellers. The responsibilities in that particular agreements and the division of that particular responsibility. So while we design that sale contract, we generally mention around these particular things. We generally use these terminologies, and with this chart, basically what we are doing, like let's say origin inlands आपका, warehouse services, export packing, और आपका freight ports or origin, or we have आपका forwarders a fee, ocean and air freights. So initially आपका these are generally borne by the buyers, and these are generally done by the sellers. Let's say custom clearances, these are by the buyers, and the only one is seller is आपका DDP. Like in case of warehouse services, these are done by the sellers. The entire things is generally done by the sellers. Export packing, again entire things is done by sellers. Loading at port आपका buyers, then आपका seller everything. So this is something, the responsibilities in that particular trade belongs to what responsibilities belongs to buyers, what will be borne by buyers and what will be borne by the seller itself. ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा इसको एक बार रिवाइज कीजिएगा, that will help you in your upcoming examination also, right? Now the next one, unit 5. So facilities for exporters and importers. Okay? So here we have like some important areas: export credit, import credit. That is very important area. So many times you'll see question around this one, and even this आपका export data processing and monitoring system and import data processing and monitoring system. This get asked in your previous examination itself. This import data processing monitoring system. Exchange and trade control guidelines, facilities for exporters, gold card scheme also, and diamond dollar accounts should be also part of this particular one. Exchange rate control for importer and all. Maximum time you'll see question around the exporters things, but will not have that kind of mindset. You have to study both, and we have some case studies on export finance also. That's why we feel ki maximum time they ask question around the export finance itself, right? So regulations, if it comes to the regulations, we have three major ministries. But if you talk about the institutions, we have RBI, who generally take care around the currency things or the documentation parts, and the trade policies are generally decided by the DGFT, okay, Director General of Foreign Trade. Okay. So DGFT, who is generally responsible for deciding the India's trade policy, exim import आपका exim policy, basically import export policy, and DGFT which generally work under the your Ministry of Commerce and Industries, Government of India. RBI, which is responsible for the documentation part and currency part in this particular portion itself. Okay? So regulation of exports, FEMA, RBI have given right under FEMA, but this thing will also get in detail, you will see in your role of FEMA, FEDI and all these kind of things. So if you study that particular portion, if you ignore this particular portion also, that will work. Okay? ICC, which generally work as in apex institutions, which generally decide different like UCP 600. Apart from this, we have URC 522, we have URDZ 758s and also these are international trade related things or the international relation related things which generally get decided by the international chambers of commerce. Okay? Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, that is something like it is a self-regulatory organization. Yesterday only we talk around this one, which generally help these your authorized dealers and others. They are part of this particular institution, and if they are facing some sort of challenges, to resolve those challenges, that is the primary responsibility of this one. If you specifically come to the trade portion, we have three ministries. One is Ministry of Finance, another one is Commerce and Industry, and Electronic and IT. Okay? So they are kind of a governing bodies for the international trade. So Ministry of Finance, where we have RBI and CBIC, okay? Authorized dealer 1, 2, 3, they are generally part of this one. Okay? And this DGFT, Director General of Foreign Trade, which generally comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, which they generally do. RBI generally regulate the exchange or take care on the documentation things and all. What will require at a time of remittances, तो import export की जो payments होंगे उनके regarding जो guidelines होंगे, that is decided by this. कहाँ पे कितना import होगा, क्या import हो सकता है, क्या अदर रूल्स आपके रहेंगे इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट के, दैट जनरली गेट डिसाइडेड बाय डीजीएफटी आपका. ठीक है, अब डीजीएफटी अलोंग विद एसईपीसी. ठीक है, एसईपीसी इज आपका सॉफ्टवेयर एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन काउंसिल. ठीक है, दिस इज फॉर गुड्स एंड दिस इज फॉर सर्विसेज. एंड एसटीपीआई आपका विच जनरली कम्स अंडर दिस, दैट इज सॉफ्टवेयर टेक्नोलॉजी पार्क ऑफ इंडिया. ठीक है, so फॉर गुड्स, फॉर सर्विसेज एंड फॉर सॉफ्टवेयर. ठीक है, so that generally comes under this entire classification as well, right? Now, while we do exports, okay, let's say as an exporter, if you are, there was one direct question based on this particular part, very important one. Okay? So let's say as an exporter, if you are exporting something from India, or as an importer, you are importing something from outside India. Okay? So you have first to register yourself, you have to do some sort of registration with DGFT. Okay? So Director General of Foreign Trade के साथ you have to take one number that is known as EIC number. Okay? Exporter Importer Code. Okay? That is called Exporter Importer Code. Okay? Importer Exporter Code, IEC आपका. ठीक है, IEC code. So this number is must आपका. ठीक है, your every trade आपका, either it is import or export, that will be linked with this particular one, and this is generally provided by DGFT. ठीक है, DGFT will issue this particular one. ठीक है, Director General of Foreign Trade. ठीक है, so अगर आप इंडिया से कोई भी import करो या export करो, आप उस business में involve हो रहे हो, so you have to take one code from DGFT, that is your आपका IEC number. ठीक है, and you every time you will do any sort of trade and all, so you have to use this particular number. This will work as a PAN number. जैसे हमारे लिए आपका for LRS, the basically with that particular one, authorized dealers or other regulatory bodies, they keep our data, so that is PAN number. Similarly for importer exporters, this number works. Okay? So every person, firm or company engaged in export imports trade has to apply for IEC number with DGFT. Okay? This is a registration number of firm, company or international trade for international trade, and the exporter importer has invariably code this numbers and at the in all declaration form. Okay? Let's say if you are doing export, so you have to fill the export declaration form. Okay? So in that export declaration form, your transactions will be monitored through this IEC numbers. Okay? Every time whenever you do the import exports, that will be part of this one. Okay? So we have export declaration form, export declaration, like in case of LRS remittances, we have that form A2. I hope you guys remember that particular one. When we do investments abroad, outside India, form ODI we have taken. So similarly, for export things or for import things, for export we use आपका export declaration form आपका, ठीक है? So export basically we have two areas, like let's say how you'll go with this one, ठीक है? So any exporter, they'll connect to the authorized dealers category 1 bank, and they have to fill this particular form. That is, the form name is export declaration form. Okay? So export declaration form, this look like something like this. Export declaration, name, exporter name, address, then authorized dealers address and all, okay? Signature and address of this and this is. So then we have purpose code, invoices, numbers, and every details which is generally part of this particular one. So section 7 subsection 1 subsection 3 of FEMA, all export of goods from India, whether in physical or any other form. Okay? For physical, for goods we have export declaration form EDF, form EDF. For software we have Softex. Okay? In case of software we use one form that is known as Softex, software export. Okay? Apart from softwares we use EDF. So declare this particular one will be realized in this area. Basically, this is mentioned here. So EDF form आपका export other than the software made by all modes, and Softex आपका which we generally use for the export of softwares आपका, non-physical basis. So they are generally categorized in this one. Please do remember these two forms आपका, their uses also. It is similar to your form A2 or form ODI or form ECB. So these are the similar one, but the purpose of these particular one is different. Okay? If you are doing foreign investment as an individual, you have to fill the form ODI. If you are as an individual, you are remitting money abroad for education purpose, you have to fill form form A2. If you are raising funds from outside India through ECB, so you have to fill the form that is called form ECB आपका, ठीक है? That will help you to get the LRN number also. So with the introduction of electronic data interchange system, a certain custom officers where shipping bills are processed electronically. So this exchange declaration form also, that is like nowadays most of these custom offices also, they are generally part of the online things and all. Okay? So they have to report all these particular things in the online things. This is a very simple one. If you go through these areas, we'll be able to understand these particular ones. Okay? Now, following are the areas where we do not have to fill the export declaration form. Okay? So these are the areas where you do not have to fill the EDF form. Okay? This get asked so many times, so you have to remember these particular ones. Okay? Trade sample of goods and publicity material supplied free of payment. So let's say you are sending some samples to other country for free. So in that case, you do not have to fill the EDF form. Okay? So that is the one. Personal effect of travelers, whether accompanied or unaccompanied. Okay? So if you are moving or if you are carrying some goods and all, that is also not required. Ship stores, transshipments, cargoes, and goods shipped under the order of central government, such as officers as may be appointed by the central government on behalf of the military, naval or others. So like sometimes we do some sort of charity आपका, let's say we provided some aid to some other countries, so that order is passed by the government, central governments. In that case also we do not have to we do not require this EDF. By way of gift of goods accompanied by the declaration by the exporter that they are not more than 5 lakh rupees. So if you are giving gift to someone else in the abroad and the gift value is less than 5 lakh, again not required. Aircraft or aircraft engine and spare parts for overhauling and repair, so that is also they'll get re-imported again. So let's say we purchase Rafale from Russia. If we are sending them for the repair purpose in Russia, so and then after the repairments, they'll come back to India, again not required. Even sometime also, let's say we have done some exports to other countries and there are some defective piece. Now we are sending, let's say we got an order of 1 lakh. Out of 1 lakh, 10,000 or one, let's say 10,000 markers, they got defective while they reached to any other country, okay, or the destination country. So in that case also, when we are resending those 10,000s, that will not required and we are not charging any amounts, we have to declare those kind of things. So they are generally part of this particular one. Okay. Replacement goods exported free charge in accordance with the provision of foreign trade policy. Replacement आपका, ठीक है, as I gave an example of this marker. Goods sent outside India for testing are subject to re-import into India. Re-import into India. Export permitted by Reserve Bank of India on application made up to it, subject to term and conditions and all. So that is generally part of this particular one. Okay. Alright guys, यहाँ तक clear है सबको? So these are some exemptions and they get asked so many times. So please be careful around these one. Okay. Now facilities for exporters. Basically, आपका credit facilities for exporters. So we have pre-shipments and we have post-shipments. Two type of facilities are there. Pre-shipments where the credit facilities are generally provided for up to 90 days of a period. These are something related to the packaging things and all. So they also known as packing credits and all. So export credits, this is the basic things. So we have pre-shipments advances to exporters and we have post shipments. So we can, as a bank or these exporters, they can avail two type of facilities from the bank. One is pre-shipments, which is known as packing credit. Another one is post shipments. After shipments, when they have that receivables and all, on the basis of those receivables, they can take money. And apart from this also, they do have factoring, forfeiting services to meet to deal with their working capital requirements and all. Okay? So when it comes to the pre-shipments, it is also known as packing credit loan, which is generally for working capital advances allow for a specific purpose of procuring, processing, manufacturing of goods meant for export. It could cover all costs prior to the shipment of finished good, like packing, local transportation and all. The borrowers is a bank customer conditions. They should have export import numbers, IEC numbers. Their name should not appear in the caution list of RBI. They should not be under the specific approval list of ECGC. They have the capacity to execute the order within stipulated time duration, and KYC guidelines are compiled with. So these are the conditions. So if any exporters, if they are applying for the pre-credit shipments, so these are the guidelines. They have to meet with these particular guidelines. This is generally आपका, let's say you got an order, you have to supply 1 lakh markers within 90 days. So now you have to manufacture, you have to purchase raw material, or you have to pay आपका the basic utility expenses or the rent or the employee salary and all. So to meet with these kind of requirements, exporters or basically working capital, short-term working capital requirements, they can take loan under the pre-shipments category and all. If it is आपका post shipments, so post shipments basically it is, let's say if that deal is backed by the LC, so they can discount that particular bills receivables, and even in some cases they can directly take loan from the banks if they haven't applied for the pre-shipment. अगर उन्होंने pre-shipment आपका नहीं लिया है तो उस केस में भी there is some eligibility criteria, so they can go with the आपका post shipment. So no PCL pre-credit आपका pre what is this called here? Packing credit loan. No packing credit loan have been availed by him against the same order or LC from the other banks. Bank should call for credit reports status. Exporter should submit stock statements for goods on which PCL has been allowed. If the export are covered under letter of credit, bank would need to satisfy about the standing of क्रेडिट ओपनिंग बैंक्स, ठीक है, जो भी बैंक आपका जिसने वो एलसी इशू किया है उसकी क्रेडिट वर्दिनेस को टेस्ट किया जा सकता है. बैंक में ऑल्सो लुक इनटू द रेगुलेशंस एंड द पॉलिटिकल एंड फाइनेंशियल कंडीशंस of the buyer's country as well, ठीक है, so to mitigate any kind of risk as well. So this is आपका, ठीक है. Post shipment finance can be in various type, like basically advances against a bill sent on collection, ठीक है. So let's say we received that like let's say we have done that shipments. Now the date on LC is आपका 90 days, so that means we are going to receive that money after 90 days. So that is something. Advances against export consignment basis आपका, ठीक है, we are doing regular exports, we are getting regular updates आपका, ठीक है. So on an open account basis we can have this kind of arrangement with bank. Advances again undrawn balances आपका, ठीक है. Undrawn balances is something, let's say we have received some prepayments, the remaining amounts, or even it is something around the government refundable taxes आपका, ठीक है. So that can be, हाँ, it is mentioned here, ठीक है. Drawdown against duty drawbacks, duty drawbacks provided by the government itself. So they generally comes under this particular one. EDPMS, this is the software which is basically we have EDPMS and IDPMS. This is a software which is accessible to the authorized dealers, ठीक है. जितने भी authorized dealers आपके होते हैं, they have to report things on this particular platform on daily basis whenever they are doing or they are providing any sort of credit to the exporters and all, ठीक है. तो EDMS का एक EDPMS is a software, basically it gets launched or introduced by RBI in 2014. Similarly we have IDPMS also, ठीक है, import data processing and monitoring system. तो एक जहाँ पे हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, एज अ authorized dealers, whatever transactions we are doing with the exporters and importers, we are uploading on this particular platform. They say if there are some sort of irregularities in the payments and all, we are updating that particular one also. So RBI can put those importers and exporters in the caution list, ठीक है. तो उनको कहीं ना कहीं caution list में आपका जाना डाला जा सकता है, ठीक है. या अगर कोई ऑलरेडी आपका क्वेश्चन लिस्ट के अंदर है तो उसको आपका उसकी जो अभी रिसेंट में जो एक्टिविटीज हैं उसकी वजह से उसको डी क्वेश्चन में डाला जा सकता है, ठीक है. क्वेश्चन लिस्ट इज बेसिकली इफ सम एक्सपोर्टर इज डीलिंग विद सम एक्सपोर्ट्स एंड ऑल एंड देयर आर सम इरेगुलरिटीज इन पेमेंट्स और उनके द्वारा they are not fulfilling the commitments and all, so that is something related to that particular one, ठीक है. So they asked one question around this one, very easy one, very आपका this will help you in both आपका IDPMS और EDPMS both, ठीक है. So 2014 RBI, this is the online program for all banks to record export transactions with them online. RBI can increase the transparency of record of dollar payments flow between India and abroad also, ठीक है. So this is one another purpose which get fulfilled through this particular platform. Authorized dealers bank can access the updated list of caution listed exporters through EDPMS, ठीक है, on daily basis. RBI will caution and decaution the exporters based on the recommendations of authorized bank. Authorized dealers may forward its findings to the concerned regional offices of RBI, recommending inclusion of the name of the exporter in the caution list. The guidelines require bank to record advance remittances received for exporters in EDPMS. Bank also required to record old outstanding advances received. Okay? If they are receiving some old outstanding balances and all, again they have to record in this particular platform. Okay? Next one we have gold card scheme. Again this is very important one. Okay? This get asked so many times. So gold card scheme is generally for the value exporters, ठीक है. ऐसे exporters जिनका credit worthiness is very high and they have a very good track record also, ठीक है. तो ऐसे exporters जिनका track record बहुत अच्छा है, ठीक है. So they are generally part of this particular one, ठीक है. So basically they are like they got some sort of concession, ठीक है, like rate of interest at lower rate, they get fast approval process and all. तो कहीं ना कहीं अगर आप एक अच्छे एक्सपोर्टर हो, you'll get some sort of benefit from our banks. that is generally. And nowadays bank, they generally offer some additional services on this gold card also. Okay? So based on the indication made by the governments and all, this is the one. Okay? So basically this is the very important area. Again, very important, for all of us. All creditworthy exporters, including those in small and medium sector with a good track records, would be eligible for issue of gold card scheme by individual bank as per criteria to lay down by the letter. Gold card scheme, under the scheme may issue all eligible exporters, including those in the small and medium sectors who satisfy these conditions. The scheme will not be applicable of exporters blocklisted by ECGC or having overdue bill excess of 10% of the previous year turnovers. Very important statement पहला, ठीक है? ये statement is very important. Gold card holders, exporters, depending on their track records and credit worthiness, will be granted a better term and conditions, increasing the extended other one. Bank would clearly specify the benefit they would be offering on gold card schemes and all. ठीक है? Some other आपका the sanction, this 20% wala area, this is the one. So the sanction and renewal of the limit under the scheme will be based on the simplified procedures to be decided by the banks. In principle, limit will be a sanction for a period of 3 years. Please do remember this one also. With a provision for automatic renewal subject to fulfillment of term and condition of the bank. Standby limit not less than 20%. ये सबसे अच्छा benefit है इसका, and this get asked whenever they'll ask question around the gold card scheme. Whenever they'll give you the multiple statement, this will be part of that particular one. Very important. Again, not less than 20% of assessed limit may be additionally made available to the to facilitate urgent credit needs. Let's say we have issued gold card scheme, gold card to any exporter worth rupees 1 crore. Okay? So they have a standby limit of 20% also. Okay? That means if they need some sort of urgent money, they have to, amounting 1 crore 20 lakhs, so they can use that particular one by using this particular card itself. So that is the benefit. Okay? Gold card holders would give preferences in the matter of granting packaging credit loan also, pre-shipment loans. Bank would consider waiver of collateral and exemption from ECGC insurance on the basis of cardholders credit worthiness and track record. The facility of further value addition आपका which is decided by the issuing bank. ठीक है, आज के डेट में हमारे बैंक्स मतलब like ज़्यादातर गोल्ड कार्ड होल्डर्स हमारे बैंक के हो, for that we generally provide some additional services like insurance and all, which are generally part of this particular one. ठीक है, so this is again very important one. So please do remember this one. Factoring and forfeiting. These are two additional ways through which basically exporters, they can arrange their working capital, right? So I hope everybody knows around these particular one. Okay? So factoring is basically where our bank is work as a factor, and all the transaction of that particular exporter is done through our bank with the help of an open accounts. Open accounts means मतलब let's say there is a XYZ exporter, उस XYZ exporter के जितने भी exports आपके हो रहे हैं तो उन सबको डिस्काउंट करने का काम हम लोग करें, एंड ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ एक्सपोर्टर्स we are also managing the ledger accounts of that the different exports and all. Okay? So we are becoming a helping hand, and we generally discount at 75 to 80% to each and every bill. Okay? मतलब let's say they did a sale of 1 lakh rupees, export of 1 lakh rupees, so we immediately provide 75 to 80,000 rupees to the exporter so they can prepare for they can prepare the another export. Okay? So we generally say you focus on export, rest things will be taken care by our bank. It can be with or without recourse in case of factoring. Our bank work as a factor. The another one is forfeiting. In case of forfeiting, basically this is not like forfeiting is always backed by LC. It is mostly it is non-recourse basis. There is no collateral or guarantees required because it is already backed by the LC itself. Okay? And it is bank to bank. Okay, let's say there is an exporter who did one transaction with your bank and it get discounted 100%. Okay, let's say the receivable is 1 lakh. So we ask for the 5% commission. So we'll pay 95,000 to the exporter. Now it is entirely our responsibility to recover that particular one or to manage that account ledger and all, debt management, everything. Okay? So the difference is आपका in case of factoring, all the transaction of that exporter we are doing as a on a open account basis. But in case of forfeiting, they are doing one transaction with our banks, another transaction with some other banks. Okay? It is a single time transaction with the exporter and all. Okay? So that is something related to this particular one. That is discounting basically. Okay? So these are the alternatives आपका apart from that export credit. So first is आपका factoring. ठीक है, you can go with this particular one, but it is immediate financing up to 75 to 80% of the invoice value. No need for LC. Thus saving cost for the importers. It is generally on open account basis. ठीक है, all the transaction of that particular exporter is done by one factor. Credit check on importers or buyers. These are the additional services which are generally provided by factor to the exporters. Sales ledger maintenance is done by factor. Credit protection on all approved debtors limit. Advisory services for new areas and countries. So basically exporters, they get these many benefits with the factoring services. Okay? So debt administration, credit protections, financing and others. Forfeiting आपका, in case of forfeiting, it is a kind of one-time transaction with the exporter where we are discounting 100% of bill, right? So take away political and commercial risk associated with the export receivables. It is always without recourse, but factoring can be with or without recourse. Okay? Please do remember this statement also. Make 100% make available 100% finance against invoice drawn without a recourse facility. There is no guarantee required from the exporters. आपका freedom from credit administration and follow-ups, that is done by the financer. Cost saving on exporters, credit insurance beside related paperwork, fixed rate financing, freedom from movement of interest rate for the tenures of the bill itself. So one time you are getting the payments and you are exiting from that deal. Okay? This is as simple as that. As an exporter, I have done some export worth rupees 10 lakh. Now I approaches to your bank. This is the amount which I'm going to receive after 90 days, and this is the LC. So in that case, we negotiated. It is something like that trades platform. Okay? We have trades platform for MSMEs now, similar to this one. Okay? So we had a negotiation where you ask for the 5% commission. So the remaining, after the 5%, you gave me the remaining amounts, and then the relation between me and you is over. Okay? Now everything will be taken care by your bank as a financer in that particular situation itself, right? Parties under factoring and parties under forfeiting. Pujisha, like parties under factoring and forfeiting, see, we do not have any exact classification of for this particular one. I never read around this particular thing basically. Maybe I missed that portion, but what I know, okay, it is like if you're asking about the names, so bank, in case of factoring, bank work as a factor, and the another one is exporter. In another case, in case of forfeiting, they call forfeiter or the financer. Bank is generally known as forfeiter or as a financer. If you are asking with the same direction or you asking something else. Rest things are like we do not have any categorization, like in bill of exchange we have three parties, promissory note we have two parties. We do not have that kind of classification as per my knowledge. That factor, your bank is known as factor in case of factoring, and in case of forfeiting it is known as forfeiter or आपका financer. That is these are the name given to this particular one. If I'm missing something, please do let me know. So this is the differentiation. Very, very important. I have differentiated this particular one, so this can help you to revise things quickly, right? So factor is a short-term transaction where forfeiting is a medium to long-term. Factoring can be done with or without recourse, although forfeiting is usually without recourse. Factoring is applicable for both foreign and domestic, but forfeiting is generally for international. Factoring is appropriate for ongoing open account sales that are not backed by LC or accepted by bill of exchange, whereas forfeiting appropriate for one-time transactions. Factoring necessitate continuing arrangement between the factor and customer. Factor means your bank and customer is exporter, in which all sales are routed by the factor, but forfeiting does not necessitate the seller routing others business through the forfeiter. Forfeiter is financier or the bank. Okay? Deal are closed transaction by transaction in this particular case. Okay? Understood? So these are the areas. This is again very important part, guys. So many times you will see the question around this particular portion. So you have to be very careful, right? Now export related things aapka, theek hai? And that will not take much time. Okay? So a regulation for importers, importers. So we have done with exporters. So again same, we have DGFT for the import regulations. Then we have RBI, same with the similar guidelines and all. They also required IEC, importer exporter code for any kind of import. Okay? Whenever they'll enter into a import things, they have to put this particular numbers. Okay? Approved commodities aapka by the DGFT itself. Okay? Then import finance. This is something new where we have buyer's credit and seller's credit that get asked so many times. Okay? So import letter of credit. This is very simple. Okay? Importers, they are asking for any kind of letter. They are applying for any kind of LC. Okay? Trade credits, this is important. Supplier credit or buyer credit. I hope everybody knows about this particular one. If you do not know, please pay your attention. This is important because so supplier credit, supplier credit is a credit directly extended by overseas supply. This is something, let's say you are doing some sort of business. Let's say you are manufacturing these markers and you want to increase your sale outside India, or let's say you are a US citizen or US businessman, you want to expand your sale in India, and I'm a buyer from a distributor of markers in India or in Indian market. So now you approaches me ki if you sell our product in Indian market, so you'll get these many benefits in all other things. But the problem with me is I do not have that much of money, so I can purchase your product. So that problem is get solved by your company. You are telling me कि we will provide you finance amount आपका, ठीक है? Will give you the money to sell that particular one. Once you done with that sale, then you can refund us the money and all. Okay? Eventually, we are expanding our business in India, and for a time period, we are selling our product on credit. Then we are getting back money, right? So supplier credit directly extended by the overseas supplier of goods to importer as domestic market in international market also. The payment terms are either straight or credit. The period of credit normally depend on the necessity for the exporter and importers. So this. The period suppliers renoved from the shipments is 3 years. For non-capital goods, आपका period can be up to 1 year, or the preparing cycle for this. Okay? So that is supplier credit, where supplier is helping. Buyer credit आपका, ठीक है? Buyer credit, ठीक है? So buyer credit, it is simple as a term loan, bank loan. We are taking loan, we are manufacturing, we are selling, then we are repaying. ठीक है? So buyer credit is credit arranged by the importer buyer for a नहीं मतलब आपका let's say LC आपका, let's say I have to import some raw material from some other country, so I'm taking some loan from the bank. ठीक है? It is something like this. Outside the country to settle the payment of imports. In short term, it is a credit arranged by the buyers to settle import payments irrespective of the period of credit and all. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay? So sometimes we got confused between the buyers and suppliers credit, so please do take care around this one. Okay? Now the next one is ECB, external commercial borrowings, okay? And foreign investment in India. ECB is again very important part or very important topic, especially few areas like ECB concept. We have reporting conversion of ECB into equity, foreign investments, and that form ECB or the operational aspect. This is mentioned here, operational aspect, and the maturity period or the minimum average maturity period that get asked so many times. Okay? So when we comes to the ECB, external commercial borrowing, this is the something where our companies, Indian companies, they are raising funds from outside India. Okay? So as a business, let's say we can take an example of Reliance or Tata. So let's say they are borrowing money from outside India in the form of, it can be bond, it can be any term loan or any other mode of any other mode of credit, right? So when companies, Indian companies, they are raising funds from outside India in different terms. That is your ECB. We do have some ECB guidelines, the uses, the end uses or the proceed from ECB where they can use that particular money or not. And we have to take one approval from RBI also, that is known as LRN. Okay? So these are some important areas from this particular one. Okay? So what is ECB? We all know, I guess. Okay? So ECB, we have two type of route. One is आपका direct route automatic, another one is approval route. ठीक है? In case of direct route, what we have to do, let's say there is a company called XYZ, they'll approach to authorized dealers, category 1 banks. ठीक है? Then this bank will study their documents or go through their documents and all. If everything is fine, ठीक है? They'll approve that particular one. ठीक है? In this case, आपका approval route, ठीक है? So what they have to do, like XYZ, they'll approach to authorized dealer. The route will be authorized dealer 1 itself. Okay? They'll go through the documents, then they'll send it for the RBI approvals. Once RBI approve, so they'll approve that particular one. Or if RBI disapprove, so that will get rejected. Okay? So if parameter prescribed under the framework have been compiled with approach authorized dealers category 1 banks with a proposal in form ECB. Form ECB will require in this case. Borrower may approach RBI with application in prescribed format form ECB. RBI shall grant approvals based on the overall guidelines. It does not mean that this XYZ will directly go to RBI. No. Their route will always through the authorized dealers. Authorized dealers, basically the scrutiny things and all, most of the things are generally get tested by the authorized dealer itself. If they feel this is right, they can send it for the RBI approvals and all. Correct? Hai? So that generally comes under this one. We can have, or we can, or companies, they can raise funds from outside India in Indian currency or in foreign currency. So we have two type of ECBs. One, आपका foreign currency denominated ECB, and another one is INR denominated ECB. Let's say that XYZ company, they issue some bonds in US, आपका in dollar. ठीक है? They can issue in dollar, आपका, that is foreign currency. This XYZ, they issue some bonds in US in INR. ठीक है? So that rupee dominated, that is generally known as rupee dominated आपका ECB and all. ठीक है? So eligible borrowers. ठीक है? Now who can be the eligible borrowers? All entities eligible to receive the FDI. ठीक है? तो जहां पे भी FDI allow है, वो सारे इसके लिए आपका eligible है. Entities recognized as startup by the central governments on the date of raising ECB, but the limit is like in normal case they have in normal ECB limit is ECB limit. ठीक है? कितना है आपका, कौन बताएगा? Who will tell guys what is the ECB limit? For startups it is आपका $3 million. ठीक है? So for startups it is $3 million, but in general it is how much? किसी ने बताया है? It is $750 million. ठीक है? It is $750 million, right? Port Trust unit of SEZ should be this registered entities engaged in microfinance activities and all. So these are the eligible borrowers who can raise funds through the ECB. Most of they generally comes under this particular one. ECB proceed cannot be utilized. Let's say as a company XYZ we raise some funds through the ECB. So now we cannot use that particular money in these many areas. Pujisha ma'am mentioned this particular one, very correct. So आपका real estate activities, आपका investment in capital market, equity investment, working capital purpose except आपका foreign equity holders, general corporate purpose except foreign equity holders. One part is missing from this one. Okay? So basically we cannot use for our repayment of rupee loan except आपका foreign equity holders. ठीक है? One another part is missing from this slide, or maybe that went inside आपका. ठीक है? So usually we cannot use that ECB for these areas. For these three areas, working capital purpose we cannot use. We can use if we have some foreign equity partners in our company. We can use for general operation purpose आपका expenses. If we have foreign equity partner, we can use that money to repay the rupee loan if we have foreign equity partners. And the foreign equity partners, the ratio debt to that foreign equity partners holder is 7:1 आपका, ठीक है. So that is the maximum range, ठीक है. So eligible lenders who, like, from which sources we can raise this particular funds. So borrowers can raise ECB from internationally recognized sources like international bank, international capital market, multilateral financial institutions like IMF, World Bank, ठीक है. Export credit agencies, आपका suppliers of equipments, foreign collaborators and equity holders, we can raise this particular money, ठीक है. Apart from this, organization or individuals compiling with the following safeguards may ECB to non-government organization engage in microfinance activities also, ठीक है. Overseas organization proposing to lend ECB having furnished certificate due diligence and all. So basically they have to there must be adherence to the FATF guidelines, okay? And the KYC part is we have to follow the 6-point KYC of SWIFT, that is known as 6-point SWIFT KYC, okay? That should be part of this one, okay? Eligible individual lenders आपका, ठीक है. हाँ, so we'll come to that one. So now the next one, this part is very very important. This is very very important. So many time, and you can have na examiner can create one question for 1 marks or 2 marks with these multiple statement also, ठीक है. When it comes to the minimum average maturity period for LC for ECB, it is आपका how many years? 3 years, ठीक है. If it is without any if and but, ठीक है. अगर आपको सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन देता है कि व्हाट इज द मिनिमम एवरेज मैच्योरिटी पीरियड फॉर ECB, स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन, नथिंग इफ एंड बट, योर आंसर इज 3 years, ठीक है. बट इफ दे ऐड सम इफ एंड बट, लाइक फॉर अ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी $50 million फॉरेन इक्विटी पार्टनर्स, इट कैन बी 1 year also. और आपका विदाउट फॉरेन इक्विटी पार्टनर्स वी आर रेजिंग फंड्स for the working capital purpose, so it is आपका sorry for capital account investments आपका 10 years, for general purpose 7 years, ऐसे जो guidelines हैं, ठीक है. तो that is very very important one, ठीक है. ये देखो कौन है, अजीत आपका. हाँ, I know maximum people, हाँ, in my society also people are shouting हाँ yes, हाँ. तो RCB won finally, हाँ, चलो बहुत बढ़िया है, ठीक है. Like how many RCB fan are there? ये देखो, ये this गौरव सिंह ना, he is my friend, ठीक है. And I'll give you his account number और branch number. Just block him from the banking system, guys, ठीक है. आप में से किसी के ब्रांच में जरूर होगा, ठीक है. आपका नोएडा वाले जो लोग हैं, so इसके अकाउंट को ना ब्लॉक कर दो, मतलब परमानेंटली आपका, और इसको डी लिस्ट, इसको क्वेश्चन लिस्ट में डाल दो आरबीआई के, कि ये कहीं पे भी दुनिया भर में अकाउंट ना ओपन कर पाए इंडिया के अंदर, पाकिस्तान भेज देंगे इसको, ठीक है. आरसीबी वन. हाँ, अजीत सर आपका मैच भी देख रहे हैं साइड बाय साइड. सो चलो, so this is very very important one, guys. This is very very important one. So you, मतलब this is the part which I'll go with, कि you have to practice a lot, you have to learn this, anyhow you have to remember all these areas, ठीक है. और we'll be doing, I have done so many practice around this one also, and in the future also we'll be doing. Manufacturing sector companies can raise ECB up to 50 million or its equivalents per financial year, where minimum average maturity period can be 1 year. They have one option. ECB raised from foreign equity holders, utilized for working capital purpose, general corporate purpose, or repayment of rupee loan. So where we have foreign equity partners, foreign equity partners, it can be 5 years. ECB is utilized for working capital purpose or general corporate purpose. So it is आपका 10 years, it is 10 years. Repayment of rupee loan availed domestically, आपका, that is the same. ECB utilized for repayment of rupee loan availed and domestically for capex, for it should be आपका for capital expenditure 7 year and 10 years. It should be 7 year and 10 years, and startup it is again आपका 3 years, ठीक है. Alright guys, yes, हाँ, ठीक है. हल्ला गुल्ला बहुत हो रहा है इसी आपका. I live in Bangalore, so people, they are waiting for this moment from first IPL itself, right? चलो, so ECB operational concept, this part is also get asked so many times, ठीक है. तो थोड़ा सा you have to take care around this one. So the maximum amount of ECB which can be raised by a corporate house is how much? 750 million US dollar. Okay, this is in general per financial year limit. If they have mentioned around the startup things, so it is 3 million US dollar. Okay. However, entities recognized startup by the central governments can raise maximum 3 million US dollar or equivalents. Okay. In case of foreign currency denominated ECB raise from direct equity holders, the liability equity ratio for ECB raised under automatic route cannot exceed 7.1. 7:1 आपका. This get asked so many times. So please pay your attention around these particular things. Issuance of any type of guarantee. This is again very important point. Issuance of, let's say that XYZ is raising funds from outside India, and your bank or any financial institution or NBFC, they cannot issue any guarantee against that particular borrowings. It is strictly prohibited by RBI itself. By Indian bank, all financial institutions, NBFCs relating to ECB is not permitted. That is the one. ECB borrowers are also allowed to park ECB proceed in the term deposit with authorized dealers category 1 bank in India for a maximum period of 12 months. Again, very important point. Let's say that XYZ raised that particular funds, they can park that money. Let's say it was 10 million US dollar. They can park that particular money with any authorized dealers category 1 banks for 12 months. So that is the one. The borrowers are required to report actual ECB transaction in form ECB2. At the time while you apply for the ECB, it is form ECB, and form ECB2 the actual amount. Let's say we issue for 10 million and we raise 10 million. Again, you have to fill the form ECB2 with categorized authorized dealer category 1 banks, and you have to mention the same amount. If it is less or more, also you have to report that one. Written through the authorized dealers category 1 banks on monthly basis, so as to reach RBI within 7 days, 7 working days from the closure of month to which it relates. Let's say you have raised funds, so you have to report to RBI. Authorized dealer. Authorized dealers will report this particular one with the आपका RBI as well. So that is the part of this particular one. Okay. So this is again very important part of ECB. So while we raise funds through ECB, let's say as a company, if we are raising funds through the ECB, so this is the second part. Once you'll file the application with the authorized dealers within 7 days pass on your application to RBI to generate one number. That number is known as LRN. Loan review, आपका loan registration number. LRN आपका. So very important one, guys. Now I understood why people are not here today, huh? Everyone is enjoying IPL and all. Then after 2 days they'll come like this and they'll tell ki sir aap kuch bhi kara do, like give us notes or anything or kuch bhi bata do, so I can pass this exam. I have this experiences from last 3 months itself when this GIV things started. So chalo, LRN, any drawdown in respect of ECB should happen only after obtaining LRN format, LRN form from RBI. LRN form from the RBI. So the borrowers are required to submit form ECB through authorized dealers category 1 bank, who in turn will forward the application to RBI, Department of Statistics and Information Management. ECB borrowers borrowing divisions to issue the LRN. The borrower are required to report the actual ECB transaction through the ECB2 returns through the authorized dealers within 7 days. So authorized dealer can pass on this to 7 days. Change, if there is any change in that amount also, so that also need to be updated in LRN also. So any borrowers who is otherwise in compliance of ECB guidelines can regularize the delay in reporting by payment of late submission fee. So now this is again very important point. This was the part of previous year. So any borrowers who otherwise, see the changes, if any, this an order obtained to LRN should be incorporated in the monthly returns. Any borrowers who is otherwise in compliance with the ECB guidelines can regularize the delay in reporting by payment of late submission fee for the period delay, and the delay may range up to 30 days, or it can go beyond 3 years also. ठीक है? So matlab you just have to make us payment itself. You just give us the reason why you are delaying, and you can delay that particular one beyond 3 years also. ठीक है? So the late submission may also range 5,000 to 1 lakh per year, depending on the extent of delayed submission and all. So that is generally part of this particular one. ठीक है? फॉर्म ईसीबी आपका, ठीक है, फॉर्म ईसीबी, so it is आपका while this is something a format, ठीक है, so while you go for the basically while as exporter, sorry, as a company, while you approach for this ECB thing, so you have to fill one form that is called form ECB. This is the format आपका where we have purpose code and other things which are generally part of this one. Relevant regulators under net domestic आपका what it called, ठीक है, आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, ठीक है, एनडीआई रूल्स आपका डिपार्ट I just okay got blank with this one. NDI, this is an actually new topic. I just missed. Anyone who recall this one? नॉन डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट यार, हाँ सॉरी, नॉन डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट, सॉरी 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 सॉरी, ठीक है. सो नॉन डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, ठीक है, रेलिवेंट रेगुलेशंस अराउंड द नॉन डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स आपका, ठीक है, अ कंपनी रेजिंग फंड्स थ्रू द शेयर्स एंड ऑल, ठीक है, सो दैट इज अ नॉन डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स आपका, ठीक है, सो that is something, but that part is missing, actual part is missing from this one, or it should be part of the further one, right? So FDI आपका any investment in equity instruments made by the person resident outside India on repatriable basis, ठीक है, foreign direct investment which is generally comes under this one. This and in an unlisted Indian company 10%, sorry, FDI can be in an unlisted company, or in case of a listed company 10% or more of the paid up equity capital stream. In LLP towards capital contribution fully diluted basis means the total number of shares that would be outstanding if all possible sources of conversions are exercised. Okay? So basically it is something where we have like the definition or the qualification for the FDI things. If that means if a foreign investor, they are holding more than 10% or more than that, they will be categorized as FDI, and if it is less than that, they are generally comes under the category of FII, right? And let's say at the time of unlisted, when you as a foreign investor you hold 5% or 7%, so that will, after the listing, you do not have to increase your limit, because once an FDI, always an FDI. Okay? So that is the basic rule of this particular one. Okay? So FDI, again we have automatic route or आपका the approval route. Okay? So 10% paid up equity capital on a fully diluted basis and all. Okay? 10% limit for foreign portfolio investor, FII, sorry. Okay? So less than that आपका 10%, and less than that, okay? Investors group refer to the Securities and Exchange Board of India foreign portfolio investor regulation 2014 itself. This is very simple one. I hope everybody will be able to make this particular one. FIRMS, this part is also very important one. So this get asked so many times, please do remember this. So process of reporting on foreign investment reporting and management system, FIRMS. Okay, so for that one we have a complete website आपका portal. Okay, so this is the entire process. Okay. We have to create entity user authorized by the investee company in the authorized letters. Then we have full new entity user registration form. RBI validated the entity users. Entity user receive password by a mail and fill the entity details using the password provided or change the password. Okay, so this is the format how, as a like when we are raising funds, like any FIIs or the other one, they are becoming part of this one, or any companies they are raising funds. Okay, so they can go with this particular portal. They have to report on this particular portal. So that is known as FIRMS. ठीक है? Entity master it is called. So which generally use. Process of reporting on FIRMS. ठीक है? Ensure entity master is available, and how you will take that entity master. This is the rule. ठीक है? The second one is आपका new business user registration form available. ठीक है? Authorize the bank select validate the business user for an approval or reject the same. Business user receive password or the mail as well. ठीक है? So this is process for reporting on FIRMS. Business user creation and happen only in entity master in place. Ensure correct IFSC code and all. So this is the entire process. But this process get asked. एक exam था आपका जहाँ पे they have asked one question around this entire entity master things also, or FIRMS also. ठीक है? So please once go through this one. Purpose of reporting using various reporting forms आपका. ठीक है? So these are the forms like FCGPR, that is foreign currency gross provisional returns, and we have annual return of foreign liabilities and assets, foreign currency transfers of shares, and employee stock options and all. ठीक है? This is again very important one. ठीक है? So go through this particular one. We have short snapshot for the NDI, that is non-debt instruments rule. हाँ, this is something related to that one. ठीक है? So ये आपके rules हैं. They have given exactly like this. ठीक है? वहाँ पे they do not have provided in detail also. ठीक है? If you go through, I'll suggest you can ignore this particular part because it is we cannot memorize all these many rules and all. हाँ, this part is very very important. ठीक है? 6 point KYC आपका. ठीक है? So 6 point KYC swift of the remitter. ठीक है? Let's say if any person who is purchasing shares of like as a FII, they are purchasing shares of Indian companies, or if they are making any sort of investment in the form of FDI or of FII, so they have to go with the documentation parts and all. So that documentations as per the Swift KYC, so they have to fulfill these many criteria. One is आपका registration name of the remitter or investor, registration number, unique identification number in case of remitter is an individual like password or driving license, registered Aadhaar, address, name of the remitter's bank, remitter bank account numbers, and period of bank relationship with the remitters. Okay? So these are the requirements which are generally part of this particular list of documents for obtaination of foreign investments and all. Okay? So please go through these one. Okay? I have created one list आपका, so I'll mention homework here. Okay? So what documents these are generally required at the time of while the foreign investor they are making some sort of investment. Now the next one आपका 7, unit number 7. ठीक है? ECGC आपका this risk in foreign trade and ECGC. So from this one ना ECGC policies, this is very very important one. ठीक है? Risk वाला portion तो easily doable, but this part is something ना which is very very confusing. ठीक है? बहुत ज़्यादा confusion आपका ये create करेगा 7th number का जो unit है जिसमें use ECGC policies आपका. ठीक है? Role in other areas and all that is generally part of this one. ठीक है? So basically like for these exporters, or even as a bank, if we are financing to the exporters, there are some risk involved in that particular one. One is आपका counterparty risk, which is something related to the borrowers. ठीक है? And another important risk is आपका country risk or political risk. So counterparty risk is basically insolvency of the borrowers, but the country risk or the political risk which is even not in the hand of the borrower itself or the buyer itself. ठीक है? जैसे हमने किसी को export किया in some country आपका, अब there is a dispute between India and that country. तो ऐसा कई बार हो जाता है ना, अभी आजकल जैसा हो रहा है उसमें तो कभी भी हो सकता है. ठीक है? So that means let's say their countries they have put some sort of restrictions on India कि we cannot do any kind of remittances to Indian governments or in India itself. So in that case we are going to have some sort of issues आपका. ठीक है? How that buyer will make the payments and all. So that is not something which is intentionally done by the buyers, but due to this geopolitical things and all, or any kind of war situation or other areas, political instability and all, so that risk that is generally categorized as आपका कंट्री रिस्क, ठीक है. सो इट इज अनसर्टेनिटी इन लॉज, आपका फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन ऑफ द कंट्रीज, inharmonious relationship between countries, fluid political situation and all. So they generally comes under the country or political risk. The another type of risk is counterparty risk. Counterparty risk, which is the insolvency of the borrower itself. Okay? Now ECGC, they have categorized countries among these 7 different areas. Okay? We have the 7 risk categories of ECGC. So basically, as a exporter, you can take some sort of references from these particular one. Okay? Like significant risk आपका A1, low risk A2, moderate to low risk आपका B1, moderate risk आपका B2, moderately high risk आपका C1, high risk आपका C2 and very high risk आपका D. That means if you are doing some, like if ECGC has put some country in this particular one, and if you are doing trade in this particular country, that is your that is at your own risk, right? And these are some countries where we have very least risky, like we have very good relation with those particular one and all, and very good experiences. So ECGC adopts 7-fold classification covering presently 239 countries. It update and publish the country classification on quarterly basis. The country risk classification आपका 207 countries. जैसे we have group 1 where 10 countries आपका rated D are placed in restricted cover आपका group 2 and all. ठीक है. So these are the different आपका जैसे A1, A2, A3 आपका ये जो भी पूरा जो list आपका दिया गया. ठीक है. So let's say if it comes to the A1, so A1 we have A1 to 207 countries. ठीक है. So 207 countries, they are categorized between A1 to B2. So these are the safe zone where you can do exports. Aapka. We have very less political and your country risk involved in these countries, right? If something which is D, aapka, like 10 countries which are part of the just D things, they are high risky. So there can be some dispute with these kind of your there can be some relationship problems with these countries basically, ठीक है? Or the country risk or the political risk is bit high in these type of countries itself, right? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. चलो next one guys, it is around the ECGC. So we all know the role of ECGC objectives and all. The important part of ECGC is आपका these policies. ठीक है. So main policies offered by ECGC. Now I have like this is your paper cutting of your book itself. So see, if you open ECGC website, there are 45 plus policies which are generally offered by ECGC to the exporters आपका, ठीक है, or the bank itself. ठीक है. We do not have to go through all. ठीक है. Anything which is given your book आपका or anything which is newly introduced, mostly आपका standard policies are there. ठीक है. And the question will be around those particular one. ठीक है. So standard policies to exporters to protect against payment risk involved in exports on short term, small exporter policy, specific shipment policies, just export deferred payment, insurance for buyer's credit, a line of credit, again, services rendered to foreign parties. Then we have construction work and turnkey project undertaken abroad. Export specific policy, export turnover policy, buyer exposure policy, then आपका consignment export policy, multi buyer exposure policy, IT enabled services and policy for SME sector. ठीक है. So these are some major policies basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. ठीक है. So these are the 10 policies which are generally given in your book itself. ठीक है. So if you go through these particular one, sometime you'll get confused. Sometime you'll also get some sort of confusion around these particular one, but as much as you'll practice now, they will be helpful. I'll give you a basic idea. The insurance product offered by ECGC to banks. So services provided to the like insurance policies which are generally provided by ECGC to bank. or to the bank finance basically, ठीक है. So export credit insurance for bank whole turnover or packing credit. Then we have exporter production finance guarantee, export credit insurance for bank, export finance guarantee, exporter performance indemnity, export finance overseas lending guarantee and transfer guarantee. Okay, so now I'll show you one by one. Okay. Standard policy. Okay. Most of the policies which are generally linked with the standard policy. Okay. So standard policy we have two. One is comprehensive. Comprehensive means that is going to cover both type of risk, commercial as well as your country risk. Okay. So if it is a comprehensive risk policy which is going to cover commercial risk means आपका that obligor risk or that buyer risk आपका, ठीक है, default by the buyers, that comes under the commercial. And political risk आपका, that is country related risk. So one is आपका comprehensive, another one is political risk. So this policy is generally going to cover only the political tensions, or if, like, let's say if other country they have made some sort of restrictions, due to those particular restrictions whatever the losses exporter is going to face, that is borne by the ECGC. But in this case आपका default by the buyers or and not or and आपका any political risk involved in that particular trade, that will get covered by this particular one. ठीक है. So this is the basic difference. Now with every policy you will see there is one comprehensive, one आपका political risk only. ठीक है. So standard policies like आपका comprehensive risk policy to cover both commercial and political आपका from the date of contract. Then we have political risk आपका which only cover the political one. ठीक है. So commercial risk and political risk, we all know about this. Commercial, it is insolvency of the overseas buyer or the buyers in this case, and political is आपका the situation like आपका war or आपका revolution or civil disturbance or any changes in the laws by the foreign country itself. So they generally get covered under this one. Okay? Standard policy do not cover the following areas. When it comes to the standard policy, they do not cover commercial dispute raised by the buyer. If there is some, like let's say then some product are defective, and let's say as an exporter we have sent some defective product and they have raised some concern, so that is not get covered under this particular one. Cause inherent in the nature of good, let's say we have sent some perishable good, they get destroyed, that will not get covered. Okay? Buyer failure to obtain necessary import or exchange authorization from the authorities, ठीक है, that is something related to this. मतलब like जो buyer है आपका, they won't be able to आपका they generally unnecessary import like that shipments or the exchange आपका, ठीक है, that they are facing some difficulties from their country. Default or insolvency against the exporter or collecting banks, exchange rate fluctuation risk are not get covered under this particular one. Small policies again आपका, ठीक है, small policies exporter are defined as exporter whose anticipated total export turnover is within a period of 12 months and not exceeding 50 lakhs. ठीक है, please do a cross check this one. ठीक है, I'll mention here. Just cross check this particular one. Reason being, sometimes they update these areas and all. So if they have updated, so you have to cross check that particular one. Okay. The policy provide against commercial risk, covering insolvency, buyers failures to the buyers to make the payments within 2 months of due date. Okay. So it also provide आपका political risk, imposition, then same things आपका, ठीक है. If it is about the आपका small policy which is providing within a time frame of 12 months, 50 lakh turnovers, it is covering your commercial risk as well as political risk. Okay, nothing new. The only time duration or the limit also. Okay. Specific shipment policy, short term. Okay. So provide cover against commercial and political risk involved in export of goods on short term credit not exceeding 180 days आपका, ठीक है. So this is specific 180 days आपका, ठीक है. And cover under the policies आपका basically the exporters or the buyers under the contract. These policies can be availed for the exporter who do not hold comprehensive policy covering the shipments in the specific contract आपका, ठीक है. So specific, if they do not have any specific like that is not part of their contract standard policy, so they can go with these kind of riders also. They are similar to riders, insurance riders. ठीक है. Short term policies, specific shipment policy covering commercial and political risk, specific shipments, political, only political things, and specific shipment, insolvency and default of LC opening banks and political risk आपका, ठीक है, that is commercial risk also. Insolvency of the buyers, failures or basically commercial risk covered by the short term policy, the same one, ठीक है, इसमें कोई ज़्यादा चेंज आपको नहीं दिखेगा. Political risk covered under this particular policy is our same, again same आपका, ठीक है, whatever comes under the political risk they are generally part of this one. तो एक बार इनको ना आप लोग go through कीजिएगा, and if you find any difficulty or any confusion ना, so you can send me on Telegram, I'll try to explain you with that particular one, ठीक है. So almost everyone is similar, but one reading is must for this particular one, ठीक है. So ECGC product for bank, this portion is again very important one, ठीक है. So ECGC product for bank, where basically sorry, whatever the services we are providing to the let's say we providing some sort of credit facilities to the exporters. So ECGC in some ways they generally provide some sort of protection to these type of financing, and that financing is that insurance coverage is up to 90%. We have 10% is generally borne by the bank itself in case of any default, right? It should be mentioned somewhere. Okay? So ECGC issue following type of insurance looking to various need of exporters or financial institutions. Packing credit insurance, export protection, आपका post shipments, export financing guarantee, export performance guarantee, export overseas lending guarantee and all. So products, packing credit आपका, ठीक है, for the packing loans and all. अच्छा एक बार just I want to move forward, ठीक है. Post shipments, credits, these are basically policies आपका. If we'll go through these particular one, हाँ, the extent cover varies 90 to 90% risk for ECGC and 50, हाँ, okay. The banks, export overseas lending, claims आपका, that is, this is the procedure how basically this part is very very important one, हाँ, इसको थोड़ा सा अच्छे से पढ़िएगा. Please go through those policies and आपका ECGC policies and bank से related products उनकी policies आपका, ठीक है. Now this part is again very important. Some important points to be noted with respect to claims. Let's say if exporter they have taken some policies from the ECGC, so while they are applying for the claim, or let's say they are routing through the bank, our bank they have provided some sort of credit to the exporter, and that buyer become defaulter, or the country become there is some political risk or the other, due to those particular when we face some sort of losses. In that case, when we will apply for the claim with ECGC, so they'll make the payments in the banks. And now there are some guidelines related to this. Exporter to submit the claim form within 12 months from the due date of the unpaid bill, and ensuring that premium on policies are up to date. Claim will not be settled by ECGC for more than 4 buyers during the policy periods and all. It is something, let's say as an exporter, we have done export in 5 different countries, and all the 5 they become defaulter. So you will get claim for only first 4 आपका, ठीक है, because there is some policy. मतलब this is something कि यार आप जहाँ भी export करो आपके defaulter ही हो रहे हैं. That means there is some problem with your overall आपका journey or whatever you are doing things and all ना. So that is they have limit this one up to 4 buyers, ठीक है. 4 default उसके बाद नहीं मिलेगा. Claim will be paid directly to bank accounts, bank who had handled the export documents. Bank can appropriate the claim amount directly to post shipments advances accounts, if any. Settlement of claim amounts by ECGC does not relieve the exporters of the responsibility by realizing proceed. All further recoveries to be shared with ECGC on a pro rata basis. ऐसा नहीं कि आपने यहाँ से claim भी ले लिया और कल से आपका जो buyer है उससे पैसा भी ले लिया. That is not going to happen. So you have to take care around these particular things. ठीक है? So that is something around this. Now next one आपका next unit we have done with this. ठीक है? Next आपका 8 and 10. ठीक है? These 2 units I'll show you the content. Very basic one, understandable. Next unit is आपका rule of FEMA and all these kind particular one. ठीक है? Now we'll come to आपका this one, ठीक है. So 8th unit, this is the content for the 8th unit आपका, ठीक है. So basically the Exim Bank or their responsibilities in foreign trade, this can be managed through the readings and all, ठीक है. Very simple statements are here. And this deferred guarantee वाला is very important, हाँ. Please do remember this one, ठीक है. कहाँ गए? हाँ. So bank approve proposals up to 25 crores. This get asked so many times. So, and above 25 crores to 100 crores refer to Exim Bank. Above 100 crores proposals will considered by inter-institutional working group consisting of members from RBI, Foreign Exchange Dealer Association of India, ECGC and Exim itself. Okay, so this is the one. Deferred payment guarantee. This get asked so many times. Please do remember this one. The next one is these are the provisions आपका, ठीक है. The regulatory review authorities again to streamline the things. Then FADI's functions, rules, FEMA. This we have discussed yesterday also, but if you want, you can go with this one because they have given in detail in this particular portion. Okay. The purpose of remittance. This is the phase 2 of your LRS, where we have to take prior approval from the ministries and all. First phase is not approval. This is the second one is आपका where we need prior approvals. Okay, like we discussed this one, cultural tour, human resource development. Yesterday only we talk around these particular one. Okay. Currency declaration form आपका sometimes they ask around this one also, but these are the numbers and all. You'll go through. You'll you can make your understanding. अगर कोई दिक्कत होगा तो बताइएगा. I'll record one video or I'll try to help you out with that particular one itself. One thing, हाँ, this I want to discuss few areas. यहाँ पे ज़्यादा content नहीं है, but few areas which we have to go through. ठीक है. One is आपका opportunities at GIFT City. IBU is the most important part. ठीक है. This IFSC banking units, like let's say as a bank, we have one branch in IFSC. That branch is generally known as आपका IBU, IFSC banking unit, and that is generally considered as आपका foreign branch. ठीक है. That is generally considered as a foreign branch for us. ठीक है. So IBU, the IFSC, ठीक है. I hope you guys know about this one. IFSC, it is a unified entity. It is a kind of a unified regulators. Earlier we used, like we have for the normal business, we have RBI for banking, insurance, IRDA, we have PFRDA for pension, or आपका SEBI for capital market. So to attract the foreign investment, what we generally did, we created one universal regulators in the name of IFSCA. We passed IFSCA Act 2019 आपका, ठीक है. 2019, yes, हाँ, ठीक है. So this is the kind of things, like if foreign investor they want to invest in Indian market, so we are providing all the guidelines at international level, so they can have some sort of ease while they are investing money or while they are like withdrawing their money and all. Okay? So they can have a good experience with Indian market and they can invest for a long term period. So for that sake, we have IFSCA. Only IFSCA in India is located in GIFT City, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Okay? And if we open any branch, we as a bank, let's say as a SBI or as a PNB, we can have only one IBU at one IFSC center. Okay? So we cannot have multiple branches in a single IFSC center, right? And we have to take prior approvals from IFSCA or licensing and the approval from the home regulators. And we have so many guidelines around those particular that we want to discuss. Okay? So objective आपका creating a strong connection with the focusing on the requirements of Indian economy, serving as an international financial platform for the entire region or global economy to facilitate ease of doing business in the IFSC and offer a world-class regulatory environment. Okay? So these are the services like fundraising services for individual, corporate and governments, asset management and global portfolio diversification, wealth management services, global tax management. We have global and regional corporate treasury. We have risk management operations. We have merger and acquisition facilities, which are generally available at this particular platform. Opportunities, आपका, ठीक है. This is the opportunity. If you'll open IFSC website, you'll see the same line in same sequence itself. Okay? So the ease one. Now overview आपका IFSCA business activities. So it include banking, all financial services are available here itself, but the services are in only in foreign currencies. Okay? We have capital market services, insurance, emerging business segments, professional service providers, financial services like finance companies and all, asset management. So anything which is related to finance, you'll get at one place. That place is generally known as IFSCA. Now, IBUs. When it comes to the IBUs, so we generally provide as a bank branch. That branch is also considered as a foreign branch. So wholesale banking, कैपिटल मार्केट, रिटेल बैंकिंग, अदर आपका ट्रेजरी मैनेजमेंट एंड आपका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड्स एंड अदर्स टू द फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स एंड ऑल. ठीक है. सो की एनेबलर्स आपका कॉम्पिटिटिव टैक्स regime. I have put some areas here. Just a minute. हाँ, this is the one. ठीक है. The parent bank is required to satisfy. So these are the facilities which we generally provide at services which we generally provide at the IFSCA or through our IBU centers. Now this is something which is very, very important one. Please pay your attention, guys. So maintain the parent bank required to satisfy following conditions while you are opening an IBU at IFSCA. Okay? So let's say as a SBI, if you are opening one branch at IFSCA, so as you have to maintain these particular guidelines. Any XYZ bank from some ABC country, if they are opening one branch at IFSCA, they have to follow these particular guidelines. Guidelines are maintain necessary regulatory capital subject to minimum of 20 million US dollar. Okay? So this is the first requirement at parent bank level. Obtain no objection letter from home country regulators, like in case of SBI it is RBI. Okay? Letter of comfort from parent banks, regarding liquidity and resources support to IBUs. Okay? So please do remember this. What they'll do, they'll trick use some ways, like they'll mention RBI here, they'll mention आपका parent banks here. So you have to be very careful around these. IBU are not required to maintain CRR and SLR. ठीक है? IBU are required to maintain LCR and net stable funding ratio at IBU level. So LCR and net stable funding ratio NSFR, they have to maintain at IBU level. This can be managed at bank level also if they take prior approval from IFSCA. That is generally part of this particular one. Leverage ratio for IBU may be maintained by the parent banks at the level specified by the home regulators, subject to regulation applicable to the parent banks. IBU are required to maintain, this portion is very important, as they do not have to maintain CRR, SLR, but they have to maintain one additional ratio that is generally known as retail deposit ratio. Okay? So retail deposit reserve ratio at 3% of the deposit rate from individual outstanding at the end of previous working day. ठीक है, ये ध्यान रखिएगा. अगर वो next working day लिख देगा तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. तो you have to remember this one. IBU are required to comply with the prudential directions and instructions issued by their home regulators unless otherwise it is specified by the IFCA. ठीक है. So mostly आपका the guidelines and there are some guidelines from the IFSCA that you have to follow. ठीक है. IBU undertake transaction आपका what resident आपका deployment of funds, non-residents आपका entities other than individuals including HNI retail customers for raising of resources and deployments of fund. All transactions shall be in the currency other than INR. Please do remember. This I have told you earlier also कि IFSC के अंदर जितने भी ट्रांजेक्शन होते हैं they all transaction are in foreign currency. ठीक है. For the day-to-day expenses, we have to do expenses in rupee. We maintain a separate accounts. ठीक है. IBU can deal with wholly owned subsidiaries and joint ventures of Indian companies registered abroad. IBUs cannot allow to open saving bank account. They are not opening saving bank accounts. They do not issue checkbook also. They can open foreign currency account of units operating in IFSC and a non-resident institutional investors to facilitate their investment transaction. They can open foreign currency accounts, individual escrow accounts of their corporate borrowers subject to adherence to the FEMA rules and all. Okay, so these are the guidelines. No check facility will be available for the holder of accounts All transactions are to be done through the bank transfers. IBU are permitted to undertake factoring and forfeiting export receivables. IBU shall obtain prior approval of RBI for offering derivative products. आपका ठीक है, for offering derivative products. IBUs are allowed to open foreign currency escrow accounts of Indian resident entities for purpose of temporary subscription of GDR, ADR and other shares. Okay? So these are the areas. Permissible activities, RBU are allowed to underwriters or arranger of INR denominated overseas bonds. Exposure ceiling for IBU sell. This point is very important. So exposure ceiling for IBU shall be 5% of the parent bank tier 1 capital in case of single borrowers, 10% in case of a group borrowers. Okay? This is very important. Okay? They can give, let's say there is a company called X, they are approaching IBU for the loan. So if it is a single borrower, they can give maximum 5% of tier 1 capital of their parent banks. Okay? If it is a group borrowers, 10%. All AML and CFT instruction need to be followed. IBU will be regulated and supervised by RBI. No liquidity support will be available to IBUs from the RBI itself. They cannot take loan from RBI. That means. This portion is again very important. Relaxation for the FPI. Okay? So this become very center of attraction for this IBUs thing or for this entire IFSC thing. SEBI has permitted FPI register in India to trade on exchange operating in GIFT City. They do not have to do the separate registration itself. So जो उनका registration उसी के साथ और जो नए आएंगे वो directly वहीं register करेंगे. FPI are also allowed to trade in commodity derivatives on IFSC exchange. Companies do not have to pay security transaction tax आपका, ठीक है, or commodity transaction tax. So if you are as a FPI, you are investing in here, you do not have to pay CTT and STT. That is a very good things इनके लिए. And it is operated on 14 hours आपका, ठीक है. All exchanges operated 14 hours, 24 hours a day. FPI permitted operate additional documentations. ठीक है. Then waiver of short-term capital gain. This is another आपका plus point. ठीक है. So which generally attract FPIs toward the IFSC. ठीक है. So waiver of short-term capital gain. Do not, like in normal market it is I guess 30%. ठीक है. So here they do not. It is 30% आपका. If you trade in this particular one, you do not have to pay that particular one. Allowing retail investor to build the liquidity and diversification as well. Correct. So these are some guidelines toward the FPI. Very important. Please take it seriously. This get asked, or this can be asked, or this get asked in the earlier also. Opportunities, this we have discussed. Indian Bank आपका, this also we have discussed. So technology part, the final units from your BFM module A, you have two options. For unit आपका 8 and 10, you either you can watch the restart series if you want to go with the concept things, or you can go with this particular PDF also. The required things I have kept in this particular PDF. So if you wish, you can go with this one or that restart series also. ठीक है दोस्तों? So now we have done with our the basic summary of BFM module A. So basically I'm trying to do like that earlier session I have recorded mostly in Hindi language. So there are so many peoples are from South. So that's why I'm doing this revision session. I'm keeping the content more toward the English side because they people also need some sort of help. If you are comfortable in Hindi language, अगर आपको हिंदी बहुत अच्छे से आती है, I'll suggest you can go with that module wise revision. I have already uploaded. But if you are not comfortable in English, I got so many queries. People from South, so they were facing some sort of difficulties with these particular areas. So that's why I'm doing these session and trying to help you out with those particular one also, right? So now tomorrow I'll see you for module B, module A and module B. These two modules will take 2 days, and then C and D, one session is enough for those one. All right, guys. I hope you enjoy the session. I hope you get some new things from this particular session. So now I'll see you tomorrow at 10 p.m. and keep practicing things. And if you need any help from my side, you can connect me on Telegram also. Okay, like sometime I got busy with the I got so many queries in a day, but right now I'm giving priority to CIB aspirants only. So whenever I saw any query around the CIB, I took that particular one on priority basis, right? So आज के लिए इतना ही करेंगे. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. So this is it from my side. Thank you for joining the session. Thank you for watching the session. Bye bye. Take care all. Good night. Thank you.